Hey everyone, we are back with another Game of Thrones review, reviewing Game of Thrones Season 5, Episode 8, titled Hardhome. And I gotta tell you, this is by far the best episode of this season and really last season.
Finally! It's getting good again!
It really kind of felt like the first two seasons when Game of Thrones was the undisputed best show on television. That's what tonight's episode felt like to me.
Yeah.
So, before you continue watching this video, please be aware that we are going to spoil tonight's episode. So if you didn't watch it, you're going to want to stop the video right now. Wow. Okay, so the episode starts off and we get a scene with Tyrion and Daenerys together.
Yes.
You know, really having a full conversation for the first time on screen. And it seems like they're kind of building a bit of a friendship right off. Like they have a kind of a mutual respect that.
Yeah, I got that too. Like Daenerys, respected him immediately for, I think, having the courage to basically walk right up to her and say, "Hey, I'm Tyrion Lannister." Mm. And that takes a lot of courage because the Lannisters are against her and have been trying to kill her. So I think she respected him immediately because of that.
And we get they get two scenes in the episode, and they're relatively short scenes, but in those two scenes they build this budding kind of a friendship and this mutual respect. And Daenerys basically says, "All right, you know what? I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to let you be my advisor." And this is probably the best decision she's made in a couple of seasons.
Yes, definitely. I think she tested him when Ser Jorah, Tyrion, and Daenerys were all together, and she's sitting up on her throne, and she asks Tyrion, "What should I do about Ser Jorah? I told everybody I would kill him if I ever saw him again. Should I kill him?" And I think this was a test for Tyrion because Ser Jorah got Tyrion there. Without Ser Jorah, he never would have made it there. Not after they met the slaves and the slave keepers and everything. So I think this was kind of like a little test. Whereas, is he going to advise me to allow Ser Jorah back into my graces and stay, even though Ser Jorah, because Ser Jorah helped him? Or is he going to give me true advice? And he did give true advice. He said, "No, you should kick him out of the city. You should banish him."
Well, and it's more of, what advice is he going to give me, and then what justification is he going to give me for that advice?
Yeah, but I definitely think that was a test.
Yeah. Now, there is a fan theory running wild right now. It's one I happen to agree with, that Tyrion is not a Lannister. Tyrion is a Targaryen. That the Mad King, or maybe it wasn't the Mad King, maybe it was the Mad King's brother had an affair with Tyrion's mother. And Tyrion is the offspring of that coupling.
That would certainly be interesting.
And I think that's maybe one reason why Daenerys is so open to him right away, is she's kind of unconsciously aware of family blood. Anyway, that's just me, and this is what I want to be true. We also do get a very brief scene with Arya.
Yes, and Arya's story is really good, and I really like this little arc in her story because it kind of gives us a little bit more insight into the black and white church and the God of the many faces. It kind of gives us a little bit more insight into that religion, because so far the only reason why she wants anything to do with it is because he helped her in a time of need and killed 3 people she needed killed. And that she basically doesn't want to be weak anymore. She wants to be strong enough to do that herself. And so she's come here for training. And now we're kind of getting to see the religious part of it and what this entails. It's not you're not just going to get trained to be a killer. There's a process to this. And so I thought that was really interesting.
And of course, Cersei is in prison, and she's not dealing well with it at all. And the one priestess keeps coming in and trying to get her to confess, and every time Cersei's like, "I'm gonna kill you. My face will be the last thing you ever see," and then she smacks her with the ladle. she is eventually going to be put on trial.
Even that guy who came to visit her, he told her their trials aren't the same as our trials. That like the evidence against you doesn't have to.
Their burden of proof.
Yeah, their burden of proof is different. So that leads me to believe that their trials are different. I don't think trial by combat is an option. I think she can confess and kind of like a confession. She confesses to it, and then he hands her down what she needs to do in order to redeem herself. Or she goes on trial and then faces a more severe punishment. I think those are her only two options, though.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with Circe, because I got to assume she's going to get out of it somehow. Just because I don't think if this is the end of her story, if this is the climax and the culmination of her story, I don't find it satisfactory if this is how she ends. So I think she has more. I think she has a lot more story to go.
And I'm caught up on the book, so I am not going to say any more. So we also got to see a little Sansa and Theon, and Sansa's kind of given up. Is kind of what I got from her, just that she's just kind of getting, like, she's not getting out of this, and so she's hardening herself. And so she kind of verbally attacks Theon, and it makes Theon accidentally confess that he didn't actually kill her brothers, that they were actually farm boys, which I totally saw this happening. I knew Theon would not be able to keep that from Sansa.
Yeah.
So it was more of just how is this going to happen? And I kind of like that he didn't confide in her, because I don't like Theon as a character. I don't like him at all. I think he's a terrible person. Even as Reek, he's still a terrible person. So I like that she almost...
She bullied him into confessing.
Yeah. And I kind of hope he gets in trouble for confessing. I'm so mean.
The main thing I'm looking forward to seeing as this story develops is, what is Sansa gonna do with that information?
Yeah.
I think she's gonna, go back to the well and see, if she can light that candle, in the tower. I think she's gonna, say, all right, I still have friends out there. I just have to get word to them that there are more Starks out there.
Yeah. Now, one problem I'm having with Sansa's story is that Brienne is there. How is she not seeing anything? Just the fact that when Sansa first arrived, she was allowed out and about, and now that she's married, she's never seen. Does that not strike her as odd? Why is she not doing anything, at least looking into it? I really hope they bring Brienne back into the story here and kind of give us a little bit of insight, because I'm kind of disappointed in Brienne, and I really like her character. She needs to do something.
So, after Jorah gets exiled again, he decides to go back to the fighting pits so he can work his way up to fighting in front of Daenerys again. Now, I don't know what his end game is for that.
I kind of think, because, okay, Ser Jorah's story is definitely different than the book, so this is all just what I think based on how the show's going. I think he knows he's going to die, that he is in the process of dying because he has the grayscale, and I think he just wants to be in her presence as much as possible before he dies, and so by fighting in front of her, he is in her presence, and I think that's it. That? Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. I think he just wants to be around her until he dies.
That's as good a reason as any. I mean...
And it's totally in line with him right now. Yeah. He's kind of getting a little crazy. I mean, he's making some really weird, rash decisions.
Which is a symptom of grayscale.
Exactly,
it affects the mind, so
it's interesting.
I would find that completely plausible, especially with Ser Jorah, with how devoted he is to her. And then with the symptoms of the grayscale, yeah, he could totally
just exacerbating
be planning to die in front of her as one last symbol of devotion or something. It's
totally something he would do.
I love the direction that Jon Snow is taking in this episode, because he got voted Lord Commander. We know he's not very well liked among the men of the Night's Watch, but for the very first time, I think, ever in the series, he really genuinely feels like a leader.
Yeah. He kind of came into his own in this episode.
Yeah.
He went in not really knowing. I mean, he really had to trust the wildlings. When he went in, he had to really, really trust that they weren't just going to slaughter him.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that he spent some time with him helped that. He was able to just kind of take command, especially after the White Walkers attacked. he got as many people on the boats as he could, and he fought while more got on boats so that he could help save as many of them as possible. And I think that kind of helped solidify his leadership role.
Yeah. So, and of course, the episode climaxed with the attack of the White Walkers. The walls of the Alexandria safe zone, excuse me, the walls of the Wildling refuge came down.
What I found really interesting about this scene was the mother, pardon me for not remembering her name, but the mother who put her two daughters on the boat and said, "I'll be right behind you." She was a leader of some sort because she was at the little summoning that Jon Snow spoke at.
And she's a well-respected leader because they allowed her to speak.
Yes, and she was fighting, and she was an incredible fighter. Nobody was able to take her down, but she was not able to kill the children.
Yeah.
So when the children, White Walkers, came, she basically was like, I can't kill them, and she just allowed them to kill her. Mm-hmm. That was really, really interesting.
It kind of,
and it kind of showed, you know, the Wildlings have been portrayed up until recently as these terrible people, and it's kind of bringing that back now because we're not just getting the Southerners, you know, south of the wall. We're not just getting their perspective, now we're starting to see them. And this is, you know, there's not a lot of people south of the wall who would have allowed the children to kill them instead of killing them.
And the Wildlings aren't simple savages. And that really got hit home hard with that particular moment.
Mm-hmm. Even the giants in this scene, he did not agree with the crows. He wanted them gone, and he, you know, basically, if I see you again, I'm going to kill you. And when the White Walkers attacked, he was fighting right alongside them. He didn't use that to take advantage or anything. He was fighting right. In fact, he almost seemed to be helping Jon Snow and the others get back to the boat by keeping the path behind them clear.
Yeah, I did not want the giant to die. I was like, I think if he would have died, I would have been more bummed about that than the mom. I think I would have been really bummed by the giant.
I am kind of curious what's happening with him because
he's like a really big Hagrid. I'm like, no.
Yeah. He's obviously too big to get on the boat, at least I'm assuming so, but he's swimming out there, so I guess they're going to have some sort of option for that. I don't know. I'd like to know. Like, maybe they'll just tow him behind water.
Or maybe he's just walking along the bottom of the ocean floor. I mean, how long can a giant hold his breath? That's not established.
Yeah, it isn't. It is not established, yes. But I hope he continues to make it, and that wasn't just, I would rather walk out here and drown than be killed by you and Risen.
Right.
So I'm really hoping. My only problem with this whole scene was, you know, they get in the boat and Jon's like, row, get us out of here, get us out of here. And then at the end when he's staring back at one of the White Walker leaders, it kind of pans up and shows, and they're not that far away. Like, they totally could have shot him with an arrow and ended him.
Yeah.
It was...
He was probably less than 20 yards away.
I mean, the guy's not even rowing. He's just sitting there holding it.
That was my main problem, is like, row. You're just drifting out to sea. Don't freaking row, man.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like I said, that is the only fault I can find with the entire episode, is the rowers weren't rowing during the final couple of shots.
Yeah. That was a little ridiculous.
But, I mean, that's so minuscule. Yeah. It's such a good episode.
Yes.
And like I said in the beginning of the video, I think it's the best episode of the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of the old Game of Thrones that we all fell in love with.
Yeah.
This was good. About damn time this was good.
It's been frustrating the last couple of seasons just because it's been so much building, but the payoff's starting to come. And wow, it's just a thrill ride. My adrenaline's still going. Okay, I would love to hear what you guys thought of the episode. If there's anything that we didn't talk about that caught your attention, mention that in the comments. We'll be happy to discuss it with you.
And don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And on Fridays, we are going to be doing a Topic of the Week video, and we need topics for that. So if you have a topic you would like us to discuss, put that down in the comments below. It can be about anything. It does not have to be Game of Thrones related. It doesn't have to be anything related to any of the videos that we do. Just put any topic you wish us to discuss down in the comments, and we will look through all of them and choose the one that we think we can make the best video for, and that is what we will post on Friday.
Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you next time.